Hi folks, welcome back to the shop here at Project Pine Hills. Today we're talking about this Klein Tools 16-in-1 impact hybrid driver. You can see here the part number is 32516HD. Here's a quick look at the packaging that it comes in. Take a look at the back. You can pause the video here and you can see the 15 different bits at the top here it comes with. You'll notice it's part of their KNECT S system. They call out the 1/2-inch collet. Usually they don't say what the size of the collet is. And you can see here in the bottom that it's made in Taiwan. All right, let's take a look at this Klein 16-in-1 hybrid driver. You can see here that if you look at the handle, it has that part number, it's on the packaging, that 32516HD. If you look at the end here, you can see it has impact 16-in-1 right on the handle cap. If we pull back on the handle here, you can see it has a bit carousel in it. If you take a closer look, you can see they're all laser etched. There's a torque size 10 there. So all these bits have the orange torsion zone. So they're designed to absorb the force of an impact driver. Now I've taken a couple bits out here so we can see the carousel more closely. You can see it's a gray colored polymer that they have. And I like the fact it's all one material, all the way back here to the bit stop here in the handle, all the way down this shank, including this divider. This divider is very important. They have that in here. It keeps the bits from falling out, but it's all one piece all the way through down to the base of this handle. So it looks like a really good bit carousel. That's a good design. I also notice if I shut this and I squeeze the handle, there's not a lot of deflection going on with this handle. Some Klein drivers, I've had a problem with that in the past, but I've squeezed it. It's got a very thick wall in this yellow acetate. If I squeeze it, it doesn't really flex much, especially when you put the cap down. So the handle feels really good on here. Now there's only 10 bits in this carousel. That's different from what Klein typically does. You can see here I have a Klein Tools 14-in-1 adjustable screwdriver. If we compare these two bit carousels, you can see there's 12 in this 14-in-1 and there's 10 in this 16-in-1. So the handle's a lot smaller in the 16-in-1. If you look at them side by side there, you can see the size difference. Let's take a look at the end of the handles here. You can get a feel for the size. This impact 16-in-1 is no larger than your average Klein handle. If we look at the Klein 11-in-1 impact here, you can see they are identical. They're both 32 millimeters across, so it's a nice compact handle. I like that. We move here to the front end of the driver, you'll see that we have a bit here on the end. That's where they get that 16 count. If you take this bit out, it's really a 15-in-1, but they get that 16 count by including a bit up here in the driver. I want to be able to store all my bits in the carousel, so I pick the bit that I'm going to use the least and remove it and take this bit out of the tip and put it in the carousel. So really for me, this is more of a 15-in-1. Now you see it has a bit driver here on the end of the screwdriver, and the idea is that if you want to change this, you take out the bit, go down here to the carousel, pick out another bit, like I've got this number 1 Phillips, and it magnetically draws right there into that adapter. But you notice it doesn't pass the magnetism to the screws. So if I put it on this screw, you can see it doesn't pass magnetism down to the bit. Now if I take this bit out, you'll see I can draw down this socket, and now I have a nut runner. And it's 1/4 inch. You can see it's well marked there on the side. So I can put a 1/4 inch screw in there. It gets well marked 1/4 inch, and it magnetically retains that screw. I can take that screw out, take this bit, flip it around to the other side, and you'll see it's marked here 5/16. Take a 5/16 screw, put it in there, it's magnetically retained, holds that screw in place. So it's got a nice nut runner here on the end, and you can see the part number on that is 32932. You'll notice here it has that typical spline drive here. There's a quick look at the magnet, and you'll see it looks like the magnet on most of the Klein tools. So we take this shank out, it's 3.5 inches long. I can put this in an impact. You see I can insert it in this Milwaukee impact, and now I have an impact nut driver. Or I can remove this socket, go down here to this collet on the impact 16-in-1, remove it, and you'll see it has a 3/8 square drive adapter for a socket. I can put this on the spline drive here, and now I can drive a 3/8 socket. Over here I have the Klein hybrid screwdriver kit. I can pull out a socket here, put that there on the ball detent. Now I'm driving this 3/8 drive socket. And it'll also work with this Klein 20-piece deep well flip socket set. You can say I can take a socket out of here. It's got a 3/8 drive in it. We just pop it on there, or take the flip socket and flip it around. It can go on there as well. Or we can take this off, put this into here, and of course if I pull out this regular socket, you can pop this off and put it back in this 16-in-1 handle, and you can drive sockets with the handle. So I can come back here and put this back in the tool, put that flip socket on, and there's the basics of how the tool works. Now this is part of the Klein KNECT system. Remember here on the packaging it says it's part of KNECT S. And we've had this Klein Tools KNECT starter kit here from a few weeks ago. I can pop this collet out, and it's compatible with this system. So if you look in here, you'll see it has a 12-point socket in here that has a C-clip in it. So it's no different than a 12-point socket that you would have. So I can take anything out of this Klein starter kit, and you can see it'll insert right in here, right? Clicks right in. This is nothing more than a 1/2 inch 12-point socket. You can see I have this 1/2 inch combination wrench here, and it slips right over this half-inch 12-point design that Klein has. So it's just a 12-point socket at its core. All these will go in. So if I put that in here and I grab a 9/16" socket, I put that in here, and you can see that I can take this bolt and it'll pass right through this open socket, and I can turn this. The threads will just go right down in there. So that's the idea behind these pass-through sets that Klein has. And there's other items in this starter kit it'll work with. Now if we take this ratchet out of here, this is a Klein pass-through ratchet, part of the KNECT S series in the starter kit. You can take this and I can pop this right over this collet that comes with a 16-in-1, and that ball bearing will hit right there in the center and it latches on. It's probably the neatest thing about this particular collet that comes with this driver. So now I can take one of those sockets here that are in that hybrid screwdriver kit, pop it on here, and I can use this as a standard 3/8 drive. Or I can flip it around and I can drive any hex bit the Klein has. Now I can't drive shorter bits. You'll see, for example, if I take one of these torsion bits and put it in here, it's going to go down in there too far and not really be usable. It will work. In fact, you can even take this bit pushed all the way down and it will go into this 16-in-1 handle, but not very well. We'll get into that here in a minute. So now I have to pull that bit out. It's pretty interesting that it all works together. This is just a 12-point half-inch socket, and of course this is a 6-point half-inch. So it all works together. So you can see how the Klein starter kit also works with this Impact 16-in-1. One thought I had was, could you flip bits into this handle? If you look here, it does bottom out because it does have that bit carousel. It only goes as deep as about where this black part of the grip is right here. That's the depth of this. Okay, if you're looking to store some things down in there. In fact, you can see if I put this straight pick in here, that's all the depth that you have in this handle, which means that this really can only accept this collet in here. You can't put something on it. So my thought was maybe you could take something like this Malco bit and put it on here and insert it down, but you can't. You see it bottoms out. Now Klein sent me this as a sample, by the way, to review. And I noticed this on this tool. If you take this out and you put it in here, it just seems like it doesn't go in very affirmatively. Now, for example, if I compare this to a Impact 11-in-1 from Klein, you'll notice if I pull out one of these nut runners here and I push it in, it clicks in very clearly. And if I pull it out and I push it in just a little bit, not all the way in, you'll notice here this bearing that retains it right here, it's standing up, kind of standing proud. If I push it all the way down, you see that bearing drops, falls into place. But when we do that on this Impact 16-in-1, when I put this in, I'm going to push it in slowly. You'll see that bearing goes up here in the collet. You see that? I'm going to push it on in, and it never quite clicks. If I take it out, I'm going to do it again here from the start. It kind of stops right there, and the ball bearing is still standing proud. Why does that matter? Because when I take this out, let's say I want to take this Impact 11-in-1 and I want to pull out one of these nut runner adapters, and I think, hey, I want to put it in here, and perhaps I want to take this entire collet out. Okay, and of course we have one of those collets in the 11-in-1 Impact. In fact, they're nearly the same, right? They both have the ball bearing on there. They're pretty much identical. Let's say I want to take this 11-in-1 Impact and I want to put this on here, and of course it'll work with the handle, and I want to pop this out and put it down into the handle. That's what I really was interested in doing, is kind of mixing and matching these tools and combining them in different ways. But you see, when I go to put this in here, that ball bearing is still standing high. It doesn't really want to go all the way in. And in fact, I don't want to force it because I had to work to pull it out earlier using my vise. So for whatever reason, it's not really falling down in here. All right, now I have these two collets side by side, and if we check the depth here in the 11-in-1 Impact, you can see it goes right to about where that blue tape strikes. If I go to the edge, it's a little bit higher. If I go to the center, that tape pretty much is flush with the edge. Now if I go over to the 16-in-1 and put this in, you can see the straight pick stands a little bit higher. It's kind of hard to see, but probably about 1 millimeter higher. It's not quite as deep as the 11-in-1. Also, I notice here it doesn't cup out in the center. It's like it's flat in the bottom here all the way across, whereas this one I'm pretty sure is concave in the center. It's a little bit lower in the center. You can see how the tape falls down there. If I go out to the edge, one of the corners here, it stands higher. So I don't think this has as much depth as the 11-in-1. But I do like the fact it's using this ball bearing design. I find the design on this cullet, on this shank, works better than the design with this Impact 11-in-1. You'll notice here, it's different. And I'm going to put these side by side so you can see them. When I put these side by side, you'll see that this is the original 11-in-1 Impact. This is the ratchet 11-in-1 Impact. And you can see they have the notches here. So they use a C-clip inside the handle of this Impact 11-in-1 ratcheting. So it's a different design than the original. I like this ball bearing design better, and I'll show you why. But you'll notice that these two are the same design. Both have the ball bearing. So here we have the Impact 11-1 ratcheting. You see it has those notches here in the collet. If I put it down in there, you'll notice it kind of moves a little bit back and forth. In fact, if I put this in a tool pouch really quickly, kind of drop it down in there, sometimes this shank will just fall out. It comes out pretty freely. Now, if I take this same ratcheting 11-1 handle, you'll see it's that 12-point half-inch Klein KNECT in there, and I take this ball bearing from the original Klein 11-1 and I put it in here, you can see it fits much more firmly. Doesn't have any play in it whatsoever. So I like this ball bearing design for that collet. So I'm glad to see it on this 16-1. So I think there might be some things to be worked out with this collet. I'm going to talk to Klein about that, see if they can figure it out, but it doesn't seem like it's falling all the way in there. All right, folks, there you have it. That's the Klein Tools 16-1 Impact Hybrid Driver. Let me know in the comments what you think of this tool, and please remember to like and subscribe. All those actions help me to continue to bring content to you here on the Project Pine Hills channel. And with that said, I'll catch you in the next video.